We use the Pearson Edexcel GCSE course for grades 9 to 1 for both French and German. This is for first examination in 2026. It's an up-to-date, inclusive and student-centred examination. We're really pleased with the developments that they've made to try and keep GCSE engaging, meaningful and relatable. This GCSE is based on vocabulary frequency, with 85% of the words we teach from the most frequent words in German or French. During years 7, 8 and 9, you have learned a significant amount of this vocabulary. Because this GCSE has no expectation of prior learning, some students who have perhaps not completed the whole of year 7, 8 and 9 at Beacon will still be able to access the GCSE. If you eventually sit higher tier, you'll be examined on 1,700 words, and if you sit foundation tier, you'll be examined on 1,200 words. GCSE German and French have 4 distinct areas and are examined in a series of short exams. Firstly, the speaking exam takes place with your teacher in April or May of year 11 and is followed by papers in listening, reading and writing. By the time you get to the end of year 11, we will enter you for either higher, grades 9 to 4, or foundation tier, grades 5 to 1. Students often move between the tiers during years 10 and 11 in order to find the tier that enables you to have the biggest success. Skills include role play, describing pictures, talking, dictation and translation, as well as more extended writing, but only ever as much as 150 words of carefully crafted writing, which is at higher tier. The most you write at foundation tier is about 90 words. This list shows you what kind of topics you will learn about at GCSE. In Year 9 French, we have been covering units on social media, free time, film and television. And in German, we have been doing the topics of school, and we will be covering the topics of music, TV, film, social media in the spring. All of these topics are up to date and diverse, and the approach is very different to those who have had older brothers and sisters doing GCSE German or French. We're language teachers. Of course, we think there are lots of reasons why you should continue your studies into years 10 and 11. But bear in mind you're already halfway there. During years 7, 8 and 9, we've built up the foundations in French or German. And in fact, during year 9, you cover quite a lot of the GCSE content. So a GCSE course is simply building on the skills that you have already developed. We know that learning a language opens doors. There are many opportunities later on for those who wish to study or work abroad. My daughter, for example, is currently working in Germany in an internship in the Schwanstabilo company that makes highlighter pens. She wouldn't have had that chance if she hadn't studied a GCSE modern foreign language. The cognitive benefits of learning a language are huge. These are well researched. It increases your brain activity, and we know that language learners are more flexible. They're great communicators, resilient, and fantastic problem solvers. We know that students who learn languages learn empathy. They get on better with others and they understand other cultures better. They tend to be more patient with visitors and in understanding perhaps people that need a little bit of help. And of course, it goes without saying that once you've learned one language, it becomes far easier to add a second language to your repertoire. So if you've enjoyed learning French and German and you want to learn, say, Japanese or Mandarin or Spanish, then because you've got the foundations in a different language and your brain is a little bit more like a sponge, you will find learning an additional language much easier. You will have noticed that we have some brand new resources that we are currently using with Year 9 and we continue to use into Years 10 and 11. This is to support you throughout your GCSE. Additionally, we will provide you with knowledge organisers, similar to the ones you've currently got during Year 9, and you will be able to use these to support you through the course as all content and vocabulary is listed within these resources. So what will our lessons be like? Well, to a certain extent, they will continue to be like the lessons that you currently have. You'll learn vocabulary, phonics, and grammar. But we'll also teach you language for communication. We underpin all of this by teaching you about the culture of the languages and the countries in which these languages are spoken. We give you gradual and supported progress to develop the skills needed for your exams, and we do this by saving some of these skills for Year 10 and some for Year 11. We will give you regular feedback on your performance, and we'll talk about what you need to do, what your next steps are in order to improve. We revise regularly so that you do not forget things that perhaps you learnt in Year 9 or indeed in Year 10 when you are in Year 11. We have high quality teaching, and of course I've shown you the learning resources already. We've invested heavily into the best resources in order to support your progress. And you will do a variety of skills in your lessons. There'll be some speaking, some listening, some reading, some writing and some translation, but we will guide you through the challenges of GCSE. I feel that the skills that you need in order to be successful in the modern languages classroom are in our mark values. Are you someone who's able to stick at things when they get a little bit difficult? Because we know the more you practice, the better you get. Are you someone who's able to use resources to support your learning by looking back in your book or using your knowledge organiser to find some answers? And do you enjoy the challenge of learning another language and understanding the culture behind this language? If the answer to those is yes, then maybe you should be considering adding GCSE MFL to your list.
To conclude, we think you should be giving serious consideration to continuing French and German at GCSE. After all, you've worked hard for the last 3 years. You can see from these photographs some images of our 2 recent trips abroad. We do aim to offer all of our GCSE students a trip to Berlin if you study German and to Paris if you study French. You can see here 3 images taken from a recent trip to Berlin. Firstly, students sitting down next to a piece of the Berlin Wall, which is now an outside art gallery. On the top right, you can see students gathered outside or in front of the German television tower, which is a socialist creation to celebrate sort of their own power back in the German Democratic Republic. And in the centre left, you'll see students entering the concentration camp that we visit just outside Berlin in Sachsenhausen, which is a really quite moving occasion. You can also see bottom left students and teachers in front of the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. And we also paid an excellent visit, that is centre right, to the Stade de France when we visited Paris nearly 2 years ago. So we wish you the best of luck choosing your GCSEs. Bonne chance and viel Glück. And obviously, if you wish to discuss anything, please refer yourselves either to myself, that's Mrs. Noble, Head of Languages, or to one of your classroom teachers. Dankeschön. Au revoir.